In this video, I'm going to show you the histology slides for the endocrine lab. You have access to these slides from your Canvas. If you go to here to useful websites, you will have links for several things, including the glands. The first gland we are going to look at is the adrenal gland. And if you remember, the adrenal gland is made out of two things, the cortex and the medulla. So if you are looking at here, this area, you will notice that there are two different colors. So here, the inner part is the medulla. So this is the first thing when you are looking at the slides. Find the medulla, then move to it, zoom into it. So once you are there, you would know that this is the medulla, this is the border of the medulla, this is the other border, and everything above it from here to here is the cortex. For the cortex, if you remember, we have three regions. The first region is called the zona glomerulosa. If I zoom into this area, you will see that these are cells sitting in circles. So this is the first region. This is the one responsible for the mineralocorticoids. Then we will have the zona fasciculata. These cells are looking like fascicles located in bundles. This is the one responsible for the glucocorticoids. And then we will have the zona reticularis. This is the one responsible for the gonadotropins. And again, this is the medulla for the epinephrine, norepinephrine. So again, if you start from the medulla, you should be able to find the other three regions. Just the most important thing with the slides is to know what you are looking for. Now, if we move to the thyroid and the parathyroid. If you remember, the thyroid is a big gland, the parathyroid are small glands behind it. So what I am looking at, all of this is the thyroid gland. And as you can see with the thyroid gland, if you remember, we said it's made out of follicles. See all of these big circles, big spaces, these are follicles. Whether they are empty from inside or full, it doesn't matter, all of them are follicles. So once you see these follicles, once you see these spaces like lakes, you would know that you are in the thyroid gland. Then you would see also on the sides the parathyroid glands. Okay, the parathyroid glands, if you zoom into them, you will see individual cells. So there is a big difference between the thyroid and the parathyroid gland. Don't confuse yourself with these white spaces. These are not the follicles. The follicles would appear like this, extremely big, versus the thyroid gland is individual cells. So once you have the slide on the microscope, find the thyroid, the parathyroid, try to zoom to a region that shows both and take a picture. Similarly, even for the adrenal gland, zoom to a region that will show all of these different layers of cells and take that picture. If we move to the pituitary gland, if you remember, the pituitary gland also is made out of two things, anterior and posterior pituitary. And if you remember, for the posterior pituitary, we said this is a neural tissue. So what we are looking at is axons, not cells. The glandular tissue was in the anterior pituitary. And as you can see here on the low magnification, I have clearly two distinct regions. So I will zoom into them and I will see what I'm going to find. So here, if you are looking at this region, this looks like I have plenty of these lines. These are the axons. Okay, they will look like fibers. So these are the axons, very few cells comparing to this region. So I will know that this is the neural tissue, this is the glandular tissue, and therefore this is the posterior pituitary and this is the anterior pituitary. Okay, again, you will zoom to an area that shows both of them and you will take picture. Don't get confused with this border between the two regions. This is the anterior pituitary. Then the last one is the pancreas. And if you remember, the pancreas is an exocrine gland and also an endocrine gland. Most of what you are looking at is exocrine glands, whereas the endocrine glands are within these regions. So all of these, like the dark purple, is part of the exocrine gland. So if I need to find the endocrine gland, I have to zoom a little bit in, and I will be looking within this purple into a lighter color area, like this one and like this one. These are the pancreatic islets, the alpha and beta cells. They will appear much lighter comparing to the surroundings. Okay, if I zoom to another area, see, I could easily detect it because I know what I'm looking for. And again, the most important thing about the histology slides is to know what you are looking for. Develop your own way of describing these tissues and how you will find them. Don't confuse with these spaces. Look at this. Look at this. Also, don't get confused with this. These are not the glands. Maybe these are ducts, some fat cells, but these are not glands. So this is very quickly the slides and how you will find these different tissues on each slide.